All right, everyone, welcome back to Orlando Out of Context. I'm Brian.
And I'm Stephanie.
Welcome back, everyone. We have another special guest this week. We have Lauren. Lauren, what is your last name now? Because I know
My
you.
last
What is
my last name now is Craig.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know Lauren from working at Disney, and so that's what brought her on. And I noticed Lauren is doing an amazing job over at Pixie Dust and Points. So as we get started, kind of tell us about what Pixie Dust and Points is. You have an Instagram account, right?
Yeah, I do. So Pixie Dust and Points really just kind of chronicles my adventures and hopefully living a healthy, happy, and balanced life and a happy little corner of the internet. I travel. I love to explore Orlando, and I try to do so as healthily as I can, but savoring the moment and having lots of fun. So I follow the My WW program to kind of keep me healthy and balanced. So I do share a lot about that. Disney adventures, just a lot of fun. That's all it is.
Okay, cool.
So we're gonna start off by asking you about your Orlando story. How did you get here? What brought you here? And what keeps you here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have lived in Orlando, I can't believe it, for on and off just over 14 years now. So like a lot of Orlando residents, I was attracted to Orlando because I wanted to work for Disney. So I started on the Disney College program, and I made cotton candy, which was a blast.
Oh,
At a little shop that no longer exists called Sweet Spells at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So I made cotton candy and caramel apples and fun things like that. So went back home and went back to school and then returned. And then my Disney journey kind of just took on from there. I met Brian through that journey, which was really fun too. We worked together for 30 hot seconds about along
We worked together, I don't know, probably like maybe a year, if that.
Yeah, probably about a year.
That's a long 30
You know what
seconds.
I was wondering?
Yeah.
I was wondering, we might need to edit this out, but were you on Dream Squad?
I was not. No, I was supposed to go to Dream Squad, and then I got called for GR at the same time.
Gotcha. Because for some reason I thought you were on.
Because all my friends were Dream Squad with you.
Yeah.
And then there was me. So you all were making dreams come true, and I was solving problems.
You were crushing dreams.
Making a different kind of dream. Yeah.
So what year did you do your first college program?
2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ours was what, like 05, 06?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ours was, well, no, was it? Yeah, ours was 05, 06.
Because we spent like the holidays, like the New Year. We
Okay.
on Main Street on New Year's Eve.
Oh.
Crazy.
That's so
But
fun.
that's a whole story on its own.
I was right after you then. So you left and I kept the party going.
Yeah, that's what we all do. Keep the party going. CP.
Exactly.
Party going.
So that just kind of grew over time. So Disney is what initially attracted me to Orlando, but you ask what keeps me here, and I've kind of really fallen in love with this community. And I think that when I first started here, I'm originally from Missouri, and I love where I'm from. And Brian, I know you're from Oklahoma, so we came from a pretty similar background with that, but I was so attracted to the diversity of our community. And I think still today, that's kind of what keeps me here and keeps me going with it. So the people I've met have been amazing. The spirit of this community is incredible. And it's been awesome to see it grow and change and develop over time. And I love Orlando.
What part of Orlando do you live?
I live in Winter Garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you live pretty convenient. Winter Garden is pretty convenient to both Disney and, I mean, you can get to downtown relatively quickly from Winter Garden.
Yes, which is awesome. When I moved here, I don't know, we knew we wanted to stay on this side of town when we built our house. And I really feel like it's so much more easily accessible to downtown and, into different parts of Orlando than we were before. So it's great because it's close to Disney, close to work, and still close to other places we like to explore.
So let's talk about your IG handle, Pixie Dust and Points. Let's talk about your Weight Watchers journey. How long have you been doing Weight Watchers?
I'll say 2 years. So I'd say on and off a little bit before that, but I think seriously, probably 2 years. So
Yeah, I know a few people that have done it. My mom did it and she was very successful with it. And it just seems like a really like something that's super manageable for your life, you know? It's not like this strict thing. You're able to, enjoy time out, go to restaurants and, still enjoy social time and still staying on track to a healthy lifestyle. So
totally.
some of your thoughts about that.
Yeah, so I think that's what makes me love it. And I think just kind of like how I said, like it's been neat to see Orlando change over time. It's been neat to see this product change over time as well. And I think what keeps me on it is that it is livable. And I think more than anything, I want to live a balanced life, and it helps me do that. And I know there's a lot of WW Weight Watchers. They call it WW now. Dub squared. I don't know what you call it, but a lot of members who do it just to stay balanced, like not necessarily even to lose weight. And for me, I am someone who travels quite a bit under normal circumstances. And it's neat to keep me kind of grounded and anchored. And yeah, so I love that about it, and it is livable. So I am a super social person. I love that I can still go out to for cocktails with my friends, or if I want to have a wild, I don't know, go crazy and have a splurge meal, I can have a splurge meal, but I know how to get back on track tomorrow, and just very livable.
So you mentioned how it's changed over the years. That's actually one of our questions. So, like I know, like when my mom did Weight Watchers and has done it in the past as well. It was just called Weight Watchers, and I guess there was one program. But then, I'm hearing all this different stuff about there's like different plans, and because I was listening to a Instagram live you did last night, and you were talking something about purple. Like, what are all the plans, and what do the colors mean, and all that stuff?
Yeah. So right now there are 3 different plans that they use on the WW program. They have different colors for each of them. So I think it's blue, green, blue, and purple is what they use. And it's the same science that's behind all 3 of them. They are 3 very similar plans, but that work for 3 different types of lifestyles. I like to call it, I guess. So the green plan, I think, is great for people who maybe need to count on like convenience meals and things like that a little bit more. The blue plan, if we're talking like Goldilocks, like this one's too small, this one's too big, this is just right. The blue plan's kind of in the middle. And the purple plan, which I'm on, really kind of banks on doing a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, um, and whole grains. So I am eating, I'd say probably 80% clean-ish,
Okay.
give or take a cookie here and there. But
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of the level of where you want to be at.
Exactly, yeah.
But more about, I appreciate that it's kind of, you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Of course, we all want to be on the purple plan, but we have to take into account your lifestyle, your work schedules, the reality of, you always want to set yourself up for success when you're starting any sort of nutrition plan or quote unquote diet.
Yeah, totally. And like there was a time in my life where green is what worked for me, and that time might happen again. So I just know that right now I am in a season where I am loving eating those kinds of foods. They make me happy, they make me feel good, and I have the time to work with those. But there might be a time where I'm busier and I need to really bank on, being able to heat up a lean cuisine again and things like that, in which case green might be best for me then.
So
yeah.
Currently right now, as we're recording, we're all in quarantine.
Yeah.
So I bet you had tons of time to have you been developing any new recipes or kind of just sticking with your normal stuff? Or what are some of your favorites?
Yeah, so I've really been branching out a lot, I think, during this time, which has been fun. I think the blessing of time has been great. Granted, we can't always get all the groceries that we're looking for in the store, so it forces us to be even more creative, which is fun. But I have been branching out a bit. So I started doing HelloFresh early on in this, just because like my Publix was low on a lot of the things that I wanted. And I thought, well, hey, I can like do HelloFresh boxes, and that'll at least be, 3 meals a week of, fresh fruits and veggies and things like that. But that kind of inspired me to branch outside of my comfort zone with things that I was cooking that I enjoyed. So then I kind of took that mindset and applied it towards the healthy lifestyle that I try to live as much as I can. So I've had a lot of fun playing in the kitchen, a lot of fun just combining different things that I have. Like last night I made, what was it? Brian, you watched me cook it. What was it? Like a chicken, Thai peanut noodle chicken stir fry something. I don't even know.
You were like throwing stuff together. You weren't like following a recipe, right? Because you said at the beginning that you were just like using things before they went bad, basically.
Yeah.
So on the topic of HelloFresh, because that was something I was curious about. I know from watching, paying attention to your Instagram, that you have done things like HelloFresh. So out of, what do we call those services? Like
the
meal kits.
Yeah.
So have you done other things besides HelloFresh, and have you like landed on HelloFresh as your favorite one of those services?
Yeah, as of today, that's my favorite one. So I've tried Blue Apron, I've tried Chef, and HelloFresh. I enjoyed Blue Apron as well, but at the time that I tried, now granted, it's been a couple years since I've done it, so it could be different today. But at the time I did it, I felt like it took me a lot more time to cook a meal on that than it does on HelloFresh. So the other thing that I'm really liking about HelloFresh is they do have more indulgent meals, but they also have, I think they call them calorie smart meals as well. So you can kind of, gear it towards what works well for your nutrition. I'm sure that the other plans do as well. I've really enjoyed HelloFresh, and yeah.
Are any of those services partnered with WW as far as giving you your point counts?
Once upon a time, Chef was. So I'm not sure if they still have a partnership. I wasn't the hugest Chef fan, to be honest.
I tried HelloFresh, and it's really nice. I really enjoyed it because it just gives you like, sometimes I want to get adventurous and I want to cook because I'm not a good cook. But, you go down this list of things that you need, and it seems to be like all these ingredients, and then it's like, but you only need a pinch of this or a cup of that. So it's like I go and I spend, and I'm single, so I'm always usually cooking for one, or just Brian, my roommate, two of us, and you buy like $60 or $70 worth of groceries for one meal, and then you have all this food left. And I'm not good as far as like, when he was saying like, oh, let's just whip something up with what we have. That's not in my skill set. So HelloFresh is really awesome if you're a lazy cooker or you're bad at cooking. Yeah. Or it forces you to be healthy too, because it's like, well, I have the stuff and it's here. All I have to do is cook it.
It does. I feel like I have less food waste when I do it, which is something I'm trying to be more mindful of these days as well. And to your point, like you get something you use it once. I did one the other day that this was a splurge meal for me, but it was so good. It was this like wild mushroom and truffle pasta. And the truffle was insanely delicious, but truffle is very expensive. And it gave you a little tiny packet of it. So I didn't have to go and buy like a huge bottle for it. They gave me the right amount. There was some left over, and then I could put it on popcorn the next day. So that was good. But yeah, I'm a fan, big fan.
So in terms of traveling, when you're doing your traveling, what are your tips and tricks to stay on track when you're traveling? Do you like pack your own stuff, or you just wing it when you get there?
I kind of just wing it when I get there for the most part. So it depends upon where I'm going, especially if it's domestically. I think domestic travel, it's really easy to kind of just, find things as you go that work. But I will say a big part of being balanced for me, I'm a foodie first and foremost. Like I love good food, and this is why I love WWs, because I can still enjoy that and balance it out. But for me, a big part of traveling is enjoying the local foods and drinks. So I don't really want to restrict myself from that. But what I do make sure that I do is have a healthy breakfast no matter where I go every single day. So I make sure that that's low in points for me, so that I'm starting the day with a hearty breakfast. That way, like I'm not hungry going into the day, or I've not, begun my morning eating just sugar or things like that.
Right.
So I always anchor it with that. And I try and, fill my meals with as many like vegetables as I can. So if I'm having something that is a bit more indulgent, as a main entree, maybe instead of doing like cheesy potatoes and green beans, I'm going to do double veggies with it or something like that. So
Okay, cool. So while we're on the topic of travel, I'm gonna like pause on the Weight Watchers a little bit. So I know that you and your husband love to travel. I know you've traveled a little bit for work, but so what was your travel itinerary last year, and what were your plans this year, and have you had to change any of your plans this year? So we'll start with last year. So what did you guys do last year?
Okay, last year we did I did a couple cruises, like to the Bahamas. We did Key West in the Bahamas with that. Fortunate that we were able to go on those for like quick little weekend trips. But then our huge trip that we did last year, we did a Northern Europe cruise. So on that trip, we started our trip by going to Paris. We did a few days there. Did Disneyland Paris because we had never been there before, so we had to make
What
sure.
month were you in Disney? What month did you go?
Late August was when our trip began.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, and it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So started in Paris, and then from there went to Dover, England to embark on the cruise. And our cruise was 7 nights. We went to Copenhagen, 3 ports in Norway, and then back to Dover. And then we ended our trip in London for a little bit and then came back home. That was incredible. The reason we did it is for us, we kind of viewed the cruise as transportation. Like it was a bonus because it was a cruise and that was fun. But for us, we knew that we wanted to go to Norway at some point. Norway is a very expensive country to visit. And this wound up being the cheapest way for us to see it. So as well as going to Denmark. So it wound up being very economical for us. And we were able to see, knock off a few places that we wanted.
And you don't have to, on the cruise ship, you don't have to unpack and pack and go move hotels. It's, it's taking you to all the places that you want to go. Did you have a question?
Did you do any excursions in Norway?
We did one. We did a fjord cruise. A portion of our cruise was going through Norwegian fjords. But in one of those towns, they had a separate fjord cruise that went to, it's called the Lys Fjord, and it's in Stavanger, Norway. And it's where if you've seen Mission Impossible and you see Tom Cruise scaling, like the side of a mountain or fjord, that's where it is. So
I love how you like pronounce the names so well.
I can't trust myself with it. You'll have to fact check me.
You pronounced all those names really well. You must have practiced.
I try. I try to learn it. So that was our only excursion. And thank you for asking that question, because I think for us, we are travelers. We don't want to have a, like, for lack of better terms, fabricated experience everywhere we go. We want to see the local culture and do as locals do. So that was the only time that we did any sort of structured activity. Everything else was us on foot exploring or renting a scooter and going around or talking to friends. I'm very, very blessed to have some friends who live in that part of the country from one of my former jobs and, talking to them about what's great in the area. So it was phenomenal.
So then did you go to some local, like restaurants where like locals go and stuff?
Yeah, okay. We did. We went to a brewery in Oslo, which I will not even try to pronounce because it would be really terrible. I'm going to spell it Mikkeler, I think is how you spell it. And I think we have one in San Francisco here. And I know for sure in San Francisco, we have one here in the US now, which is exciting. But so that was really cool to be able to do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this year, what did you have planned? Are you going to be able to do your plans for relaxation travel this year?
For relaxation travel this year, our plans have been a little hijinks, like they are for a lot of people. So we were supposed to go on a small Bahamian cruise at the beginning of April. That was just canceled, understandably. But then our big trip of the year was supposed to be happening here in a couple weeks, and we were doing our first Adventures by Disney trip.
Oh no!
I know.
Oh!
I know.
So, what itinerary were you doing for?
Okay, this is going to be a 2-part trip. So again, if we're doing a cruise, we try and pair it with something completely organic. So we were going to go to Switzerland on foot.
Oh,
I know. So my husband's grandmother is from Switzerland, and we really want to be able to go there and share that experience with her. So
like she lives there right now?
No. She lives here. Not here in Orlando, but here in the U.S. And yeah, so we just really wanted to be able to, see that side of her life and talk to her about it and share it. So that was the beginning of our trip. And then we were going to go back to France. We were going to explore true Paris a little bit, because our trip to Paris last time, it actually only happened because we found super cheap flights into Paris. Mm-hmm. So that's how we went up there. So this time, like, okay, we want to dedicate, a good amount of time to real Paris. And then we were going to go on the Rhone River cruise. So just sailing down the road, living life through Nico's eyes. And, so that was canceled. But I know. But I'm trying not to mourn it.
Breathe.
Breathe. I know. So now we are rebooked to hopefully, fingers and toes crossed, go in October. We are still doing Adventures by Disney, hopefully, and going on a Seine River cruise, and we were able to kind of just move the itinerary around. So we're still going to do Switzerland. We kind of changed our dates, so we have a little more time on the front end of the trip now. So we'll see what kind of fun we get into.
And I'm sure Disney made it really. I'm sure Disney made it really easy to.
Oh yeah.
Rebook and everything.
It was.
This will be your first experience with Adventures by Disney.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And we've heard nothing.
At least it'll be good, and it'll have something to look forward to after all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we are so excited. Totally. Yeah. So it'll be great, and whenever it happens. So hopefully sooner than later,
Well, that sounds like a great trip. And last year's trip sounds good. Really good.
Oh, yeah. That was outstanding. So,
but I think you make a good point about, sometimes cruises people frown at cruises.
Yeah.
But I think, like even a Mediterranean cruise, like imagine those so many different countries, because I've been looking at med cruises, and there's so many different countries that you get to see in one trip. And you don't have to change hotel rooms or, be getting off and on trains and planes and all that. You just,
I think you just have to have that adventurous spirit. And we like to, when we travel, we like to do a lot of research before we go and sort of micromanage our trip. So it's like, okay, we're going to go to this restaurant. We're going to go to this museum. We're going to go to this factory tour or this river cruise or whatever it may be. So you have to just, planning the trip has to be just as exciting as actually going on the trip.
That was such a huge surprise blessing that happened with our trip being canceled. Is like, I read somewhere one time that even if you just plan a trip that you don't ever intend on going on, that still will in your body produce, many of the same feelings that you get from when you actually travel. So to be able to go through that, kind of have a fresh slate. We're seeing a different part of France now on the trip, and and kind of reevaluate where we're going was really fun. So
we need to talk, because I have places for you to go in Paris.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah, I bet you do. Yeah, I need your trip for sure.
So we'll have to talk about Paris offline.
Definitely.
So when you travel, do you put a halt to following WW, or?
It depends.
Especially on a cruise, it's like.
Well, one would think especially on a cruise, but especially on a cruise, I actually don't. So
yeah, I think you can go either way, in my opinion, because you don't have to prepare anything yourself. So you don't have to be as lazy in the kitchen.
Yes.
Like, you just go up and you just decide if you're going to have self-control or not.
I did a very strict diet on a Disney cruise once, and it was no problems for me.
Yeah.
Your head has to be in it. You have to be
Yeah, you have to make that choice going into it. So my rule of thumb when I travel is if I have something indulgent that is unique to that location or is something like truly special, or I know I'm actually going to regret not doing it, then you bet I have it. But if it is just having a donut at breakfast for the sake of having a donut at breakfast, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the rule of thumb that I go through. So I ate every croissant under the sun when we were kids, and I have zero regrets.
Yeah, you can't like not eat the croissants.
No. Or like real school bread in Norway. That was insane.
Yeah, we're gonna come up to that in a second.
Yeah, we will.
So that kind of gets us into transition for, obviously we live in Orlando, and I know, well, you don't have to have an annual pass because you and your husband work for Disney.
Yeah.
We have annual passes in this household, so we're frequently at the parks, and we're missing the parks a lot right now. It's,
Same.
like a world that we never thought we would ever be in.
I know.
So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about visiting the parks and food in the parks. So
my favorite.
like favorite things. So I divided it up into kind of 4 different questions. And the first one would be, so what is your favorite Disney snack to stay on track? Like, what do you think is, I don't know, have you done counted points on some of the things that Disney does?
Yeah, I have. So Disney doesn't release true nutritional information on everything. But the other reason why, going way back early in our conversation, that the purple plan works for me is because you don't have to track a lot of foods. And I know that I go out to the parks a lot, or, out in town a lot, and I can kind of build my meals based on what they call 0-point foods on WW. So I do, like, when I'm here in town, I'm not on vacation. If I use that excuse every weekend when I went to a park, like, I couldn't do it. Like, I mean, I did that for way too long, I can't continue doing that. So, so I do count when I go. And I really think, like, if I'm talking true treats, I love Dole Whips, and Dole Whips would be one of my favorite indulgent treats, but Dole Whips aren't actually terrible for you. And even though Disney doesn't publish nutritional information right there in front of you, Dole does publish the nutritional information for the Dole Whips. So I can go into my tracker, I can calculate it, and I can count my points for it. So that's my favorite WW friendly thing here.
So a little like tidbit on that. Dole Whip is now, you can find it outside of Disney now in some places. Like, I think there's a restaurant chain. I think we had one on 192, but it's not there anymore. Island Pokey, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They have Dole Whip, and they have different. I think they have different flavors besides just pineapple of Dole Whip. So you can get that outside of Disney now too. That was just something that came to my mind.
Always a good treat. Yeah, Disney or not.
So is there like, one of my friends is doing WW, and she had kind of like a bootleg app.
Yeah.
Where, all the restaurants, so I guess other people are doing all these calculations, inputting it. Mm-hmm. Are there any blogs out there that basically do that for Disney, or like anyone you've discovered?
I haven't really discovered a lot in current day, so it is something.
There's got to be some Disney freak out there who's also a WW freak.
Yes, I think that might be me, but.
Well, there you go. There's a new business move for you.
This is how I'm going to take over the world, one healthy Disney meal at a time. I do think that there are some bloggers out there who talk about it. Within the WW app, they do have a social feature within it now where they have a group called WW at Disney, and a lot of people will post like things that they found or things that they've enjoyed. And things along those lines. But I think, there's an opportunity there.
Exactly.
But I make sure to share things on my Instagram as well. I think I have a highlight that I call like WW at Disney, and I post, point friendly things that I find and love on there.
So what is your favorite, when you're not counting points, you're just going to send points to the wind because that tomorrow you can get back on track and make the right decisions. What Disney snack do you just not keep points, track points, and you don't care about.
How much time do you have?
Okay. We'll let you do 3, Lauren.
3. Okay. Oh, 3. That's good. That's good. Okay. My top 3 would include school bread from Norway.
Okay, so explain school bread, because that's something that
Oh my.
I don't know anything. Do you know about school bread?
No, never heard of it.
So you got to explain what's school bread.
Okay.
I assumed you knew.
I don't know. I have heard it for the first time on her Instagram live that I watched last night of Lauren.
Okay. School bread is
Can we get it here first before you tell me? And
what do you say?
before I get excited about it, can I purchase it here anywhere?
Yeah. Well, you like in town outside of Disney in current.
Epcot. You can get it at
Oh,
Epcot.
at Epcot.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In the Norway Pavilion at the Kringla Bakery.
You know, they have that little bakery.
Yeah, I never go in there.
At Epcot, by the way. They have a great sandwich there too. But so Kringla is it's a round piece of bread that kind of tastes a little like cinnamon and nutmeg, and it has a cream filling in the center and like toasted coconut on it. So it's just, it is a little sweet, a little tastes like a hug.
Tastes like a hug.
It's like a hug, and it's so good. So that would be one of them.
Okay. So you had it in Norway, the real deal in Norway.
I did, yeah.
So how would you compare the 2?
It was interesting because in Norway and Epcot, it is served cold. So, well, yeah, it's chilled. But in Norway, in real life, everything was warm.
Okay.
So that was a difference. I am curious to look into that and see if it was just, if it was just a preference and how they served it, or if one is more traditional than the other. Don't know.
So did you have multiple in Norway, or did you just indulge one time in that in Norway?
I just had the one because I also wanted Norwegian waffles, and I also wanted to have like fresh fish from a fish market when I was there. So I had other Norwegian treats that I wanted.
I just was wondering if they were different in different parts of Norway.
Yeah. I guess I'll have to go back.
I'll have to try that. I'm not the hugest fan of, I'm guessing it's like shredded coconut on top.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Okay. I'm not the hugest fan of that, but I'll still give it a try to just see what it tastes like.
Yeah, or maybe forego the coconut part, like give that to Stephanie. And then
I don't like it either.
She don't like
just
it
kidding.
But I'll taste it just to see.
Yeah, it's good.
It's not it's not a choice I would make, but we'll try.
Okay, so number 2.
Number 2, I'm still going to stay sweet. And it's funny because like if I had to pick sweet or savory, I'd pick savory any day. But I'm going to go for another sweet treat on this one and go with the caramel apple cookie in Germany.
I don't think I've had that. I think I've seen it, but I haven't had it.
Oh, good.
So I think that's a pro tip. We've never talked about that on this podcast, but in Germany, they have a whole like Werther's caramel store in Germany, and it's amazing.
I always get the popcorn, so I don't ever look at the treats in the little cabinet in the line because I just get the popcorn.
Yeah, but I think if you don't know that it's there, you should go and right. I mean, it's really good.
Totally, and that's where the cookie is, and it's out of this world. So, but everything in that shop is fantastic, and but I love the cookie.
Okay, so then for your last one, make it a savory. Can you make it
popcorn?
Okay.
Popcorn on Main Street. My goodness, it's the best.
That doesn't have many points, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Even if it's covered in butter and salt.
So that's another one that you can find in the app as well, or like you can get the nutritional information of it because I think it's Pop Secret. It says on like the outside of the popcorn box, and you can kind of look it up and see like movie theater popcorn. That's what it is. You don't put extra butter on it. It's just the butter.
To me, when you're eating that popcorn in the park, it doesn't taste like Pop Secret. It tastes. No. There's some magic in there.
It tastes magical.
Yeah, it's not this. Yeah, totally pixie dusted for sure.
Yeah, like I'm looking in the pantry right now, and I have Pop Secret in there, and I can tell you that does not taste.
It don't taste as good.
It does not taste like what they have on the main street.
If my Pop Secret tasted like Magic Kingdom popcorn or any Disney popcorn, I would be eating a lot more of it. But mine has been sitting in there collecting dust. So.
All right, so now we were kind of micro and talking about Disney snacks. Now we're gonna get a little bit more like macro, like high
Okay.
level of, but restaurants. So,
Yeah.
what's your favorite restaurant to stay on track? What do you think the best restaurant to stay on track is across Walt Disney World property?
Okay. Are you talking quick service or table service, or can I give you?
Either one, but you have to pick one. So
Okay.
either a quick service or a table.
Oh boy. If I'm truly answering the question, and the question is the best to stay on track, I am going to say Whispering Canyon Cafe at Disney's Wilderness Lodge.
Okay, why? I'm really
So
curious
I went there not too long ago. It was probably in like February or so. And I hadn't been in a while. Like I'm used to the days of the skillet where there's like the sausage and the hollering and like the cornbread and it's amazing and not healthy, right? Um, but we went back and now they still do the skillet concept, but they offer a few different versions of the skillet. And what I love about this one is it works for many different dietary needs. So they have a plant-based skillet. So if you are vegetarian or vegan, it's great. They have a lot of gluten-free options as well that they can do. So if you're living a gluten-free lifestyle, that's great. They do still have that traditional skillet with those delicious, magically caloric items that I love.
Yeah.
But I had one there called a land and sea skillet. And it was like a little piece of salmon. It was a piece of chicken. There was a small plant-based sausage in it, and then just roasted potatoes, and I think roasted, maybe some roasted green beans.
Okay.
And
That
a little
sounds
bit.
delicious.
Yeah, it was delicious and healthy. And in my world, everything that I ate in that skillet on the WW Purple plan, everything was 0 points except for the oil. So I just kind of like assumed, made my best assumption on oil, and was able to have a really low point, really delicious meal.
Yeah, when I was doing backstage magic tour for Disney Institute, that's where we took the guests to lunch. We would eat
Oh
with the
gosh.
guests. Yeah, a lot of the facilitators would just like say, "Okay, I'm ordering something different from what the guests are eating because you can't eat that like all the time."
No, no, you can't.
But Whispering Canyon, that is a good recommendation. I'm glad that they're doing those.
When
things.
you initially said that, I was like, "Wow, that's an interesting choice."
I know.
All you can eat. Like basically, they just bring all this food to your table. And
you're like, what?
But I didn't know that they now have. I haven't been there in probably 4 years.
Same, yeah, it's been a number of years.
It's switched.
So is it still endless? Like when you select that option, will they still bring out more if you want more of something?
Yeah, they will.
Wow, that's good.
So yeah, same concept. It was a little quieter than the last time I went too. Like they still did, if you haven't been before, if you ask for ketchup, they'll go like crazy in the restaurant and have everybody bring the ketchup over. They did still do that, but it was a little quieter than in the past. So
are they trying to like make
that's a kind of
elevate it a little bit? It is right there in the lobby, and it can get pretty loud. So So then the last one I have is, and we're not going to do a top 3 or anything like we did for snacks. So what is the place that you're going to go to eat at a Disney restaurant here at Walt Disney World where you're not going to even bother about tracking? Like your favorite place to go?
If I'm not, oh gosh. I'm only picking one. Don't you worry. I'm just making sure that I say the right one.
So many to choose from.
I'm going to the California Grill Brunch.
Oh, so tell us about because I haven't done the brunch.
I haven't done it. That's why I'm calling it that, because I hear it is phenomenal. And I love brunch. We did a brunch wedding. I love brunch, and I love mimosas, and I love that view. And I'm sure the food's phenomenal because California Grill is spectacular.
California Grill is awesome. Like if you're coming into, let's just say you're coming into Orlando for business or a quick trip, and you're not really going to spend a lot of time at Walt Disney World, but you maybe want to have that experience, you can go to the California Grill at the top of Disney's Contemporary Resort, and you can get up, and even if you don't have a reservation, you can go up to the lounge and have a drink, and it gives you a really great view of all of Walt Disney World properties. So it's a pro tip for people who are coming to Orlando, maybe you're not spending a lot of time at Disney, you can still pop over there, have a drink at the lounge, and it's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, so that would be my one restaurant probably any time of day for that same reason.
Yeah.
So have you been to like the newer quick service restaurants at Disney? So like the one in Pandora and also the one in Galaxy's Edge, because I noticed that they have some really healthy options compared to the rest of the quick service. Yeah. I think they're trying to change that culture little by little as we're opening up new restaurants.
I've been so impressed with how they've done that. And so when you asked the question of what's my favorite point-friendly place to go to, I was torn on whether I was going to say Whispering Canyon or say Satuli Canteen in Pandora at Disney's Animal Kingdom. I love that restaurant. It's one of my favorite restaurants at Walt Disney World, quick service or table service. And it's also, very flexible for a number of dietary needs, packed with flavor, really delicious. Low point for me. I love it. I did go to Galaxy's Edge one time and I tried I forget what it was called. They had a fun name for it, a very themed name for it. But it was like the plant-based meatballs. And they were delicious when I was there as well. But I do think you can tell they're trying to elevate the game. And, Walt Disney World has always been a hot spot for foodies of any kind. But I do think that it's interesting to see how things are kind of evolving right now. And I think they're definitely elevating it.
Yeah, I think they need to get into Magic Kingdom and do a little bit more development on quick service there.
I'm ready for it.
I thought they were going to do it with Cosmic Rays, because I think Cosmic Rays kind of got a facelift, but I don't know if they really went as hard as they could have gone.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite when I'm there is Columbia Harbor House.
Mine
if I'm
too.
doing it, they have a great salmon, but I'm ready for the waves to hit everywhere.
Yeah, no, I think that Pandora and Star Wars, they did a really good job with the quick service. It's not theme park food, quote unquote.
No,
it's not at all. So
you would think that developing a new menu would be really easy to do. I mean, I don't know why it takes a whole brand new restaurant for them to implement a new menu.
I think some of it has to do with fan favorites and people and changing
and their expectations.
Like if you have a guest who's been going and doing something for a long time, if you switch that up on them, it can be a lot. Lauren and I know about that life.
Yeah.
So what about Orlando? So I know a few weeks ago we did on Orlando Out of Context, we did a bingo cards, and I
love that
with you, and I saw that you posted it, and you got a bingo on that.
I think I got a bingo, but it also made me realize too that I have a lot more exploring to do as soon as we're free.
We're free.
So what are some of your standout places that you like to go to that's not Disney?
So I'm a huge ramen fan, and I am the ringleader of the Domu train, and I'm obsessed with Domu, and especially their new Dr. Phillips location. Let's leave the food aside. The food is spectacular, right, at all their locations. But if I go inside that one in Dr. Phillips and I open my eyes, that is what my heaven looks like.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The aesthetic is just the design is beautiful, and the food's fantastic, and so I think Domu is probably top of my list.
That's a good answer, because Domu is really good. Steph, you haven't been to Domu yet.
I haven't been yet.
But you know what I want to try that I haven't is, I think it's their chicken wings. Have you tried their chicken
wings? They're so good.
Are they spicy?
A little bit. They have a little bit of a kick, but not too bad.
Okay. Because Stephanie doesn't like spicy, so I'm trying to figure out what the best thing for Stephanie to have at Domu would be. So we'll have to figure that out.
I like chicken and I like noodles.
Okay. My husband does not like spicy at all, and he is also a huge Domu fan.
Did he try the wings?
He did try the wings, and he was not weirded out by them at all. I ate more of the wings.
It's always hard for me to determine, because somebody will be like, oh yeah, that's not hot at all. I'll literally touch my tongue to it and I'll be like,
Yes.
oh, give me some water, hurry.
Okay, so if you're that person, then I have a different recommendation for you. Also on the ramen train, well, the Ishikaya train, is Susaru. So have you been to Susaru?
I love Susaru.
Me too, obsessed. And their chicken, I don't think is spicy. They've got that fun little lemon aioli on top. And
so speaking of Susaru, Steph drove by a few days ago, and I just drove by yesterday. They're totally renovating that plaza.
Oh.
And what I noticed is the mural outside of Susaru is like half of it's gone. So I don't know what to do about that. Susaru's open. It's open.
Yes, they're open.
It seems like that they're going to be elevating that whole plaza. So let's hope that we are getting some more quality businesses come in there.
Yeah, agreed.
Maybe some more restaurants and, you know, who knows what. So
we actually made a blog post about Susaru because I thought it was such a cool place for tourists to go to as well. I mean, it's right there within the bubble. It's, you know, less than a mile from Walt Disney
World. Hidden gem, really, at this point.
Yeah, it's just great.
We went for like a little media event, so we got to taste a few. I don't remember even what we ate, but
it was good.
Pretty much everything I ate, I liked.
Same.
Yeah. Susaru is definitely great for a convention or a resort guest who wants to do something a little bit more mom and pop.
Totally.
But not have to like drive all the way to Winter Park or Orlando to do it. So.
Agreed. Yeah.
So yeah, Domu, that's a great option, and Susaru is too. So
yeah,
thumbs up to that selection.
Love those.
So tell us about your YouTube channel, because I know that you've started a YouTube.
Yeah.
Or
we're learning. So this started as a quarantine activity, to be honest.
Okay.
It was kind of one of the things of I want to come out of this stronger than I came into it in some way or another, right? And if I've got all this extra time on my hands, let's learn how to do something new. So my husband and I are doing it together. It's called Hearth and Roam. So think like home and travel. So we're both really into like interior decorating and exploring Orlando. Like that's more the hearth side of it. And then the roam is our travel adventures when we're back out on the road again.
Cool.
You know what's fun about that? I love seeing like, do you follow the Bucket List family?
Yes, I love them. They're like, so cute.
Just to think like, you know, it is a fun project. It teaches you new skills. But at the end of the day, it's like family scrapbooking. It's like taking all of your home, all the things, you know, we go on vacation, we take all these pictures, we take all these movies, and then we never look at them again.
Correct.
If you kind of like put them into a nice little package, it leaves such a nice, you know, photo book, photo memories, videos, you know, for your life.
Someday down the road, let's look at our family videos of the quarantine and see.
And you also have a blog with the same name, I believe. Too.
We do, yeah. So we're working on that a little bit as well, just to kind of supplement it and just share our adventures. We get a lot of questions about our travels and how we travel, how we find good travel deals, things like that. So we're kind of just trying to you know, open up our world a little bit and share some tips with people.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So how can people find you both with Pixie Dust and Points and then Hearth and Rome?
Yes. So Pixie Dust and Points, I am on Instagram. So just Pixie Dust, AND Points. And so pretty simple there. That's the only place you can find me as Pixie Dust and Points. So, yep. And then Hearth and Rome, you can find us both on YouTube and on hearthandrome.com. So.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you both. It was great talking to you. Great to think about things I'm excited to get back to here soon, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So until next time,
bye. You have to say bye.
Oh, me too?
Yeah, you.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Until next time,
bye.
Follow us on Instagram at Orlando Out of Context. Instagram is where you can connect and interact with us, as well as see photos and videos related to this week's episode.
Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and iHeartRadio.